What is up, everyone, and happy holidays to all of y'all out there. I just wanted to, yeah, for those who know me personally, you know that I don't necessarily do holidays, but it's not like I hate the holidays. It's just that I want to kind of just, like, I want to be able to do all the holiday stuff. I'm just poor. I'm just really, really, really poor. Um, in the process, so it's like because I'm poor, I don't really get a chance to do much of anything. So I can't really. I also kind of don't really do the whole like festive decorations or nothing like that. Um, you know, I do find it kind of weird that like we don't really have like a Mexican theme to go with Christmas because the official Christmas colors is red, white, and green. So it's just like it's just I don't know. It just feels like something that would just make sense. But this is obviously going to be the last video blog of the year, so I'm trying my best to what I initially wanted to do was just sort of like go back and kind of like just a look back at the year and kind of just do some introspection and ultimately have a perspective on that and stuff like that. But it's like I can't lie to you, man. Too much bad stuff happened to me this year for me to kind of like want to look back on it and be like introspective of it. It is like I could understand if the bad stuff was going to end. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like a lot of stuff went down this year that I just really kind of it really took a while for me to just sort of like look into a little bit. Like first off, me actually getting here to this physical building that I'm in right now, everything that everything that went into doing this and getting here was very challenging. I said, I ultimately found myself kind of like, I was living with, I was living with my roommates, and I said to myself, I really got to get this thing that I want to do. It has to happen. I got to make it happen. I got to get at least closer to it. So I said to myself, so I packed up and I left where I was to get here. And in the process of me getting here, I was homeless. I was starving. I was unemployed. I didn't really have like I don't like I only had like one I only had like maybe one person that I could like rely on while I got here to just sort of help me get into the situation that I was in, to get me into a better to help me get to the better situation. And I didn't want to just sort of like I didn't want to automatically use my cousin's place as my place. You know what I'm saying? So once I got this place, I said, you know what? I appreciate the help because I don't want her to think that I was mooching or trying to live off of her or nothing like that, because that was never the case, and that's not something I want to do. And now I'm finally here, and like I finally got the job. I finally got everything that I need to get myself situated. And the thing that's really like messing with me mentally is that like I'm always one car accident, I'm always two missed bills and a car accident away from being completely homeless. And what makes it even worse now is that like my job is not going to pay me that much. Yeah, I know how I said earlier, like oh, I'm getting more hours at my job, and it's like, well, of course I am. It was holiday season. I'm not naive to the fact. I wasn't like oh wow, I'm getting more hours. I can't wait to keep these hours. No, I knew what this was, but it was just frustrating because I couldn't find another job fast enough to be able to. And I hate to use the words to find another job because that would imply that I could just walk into a building and be like, okay, guys, I work here now, so just go ahead and give me some money. When in reality, I didn't get hired for another job fast enough. We really need to stop saying get another job. As a society, really need to stop making it seem like all of our pain and suffering that happens is our own fault, because it's not always our own fault. Like sometimes bad stuff just be happening, and we really need to just acknowledge that that's the case. You know what I mean? It's not like it's like did you not get hired, or is it your fault that you didn't get hired? It's like, well, you should have done X, Y, and Z. It's like you weren't even at the interview. You don't know what I should have done. Whatever. But yeah, so I couldn't get hired for another job fast enough, and in the process, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how I don't know how next year is gonna look for me. So while this is and this is like I want to end this year on a good foot. I want to end this year on a good note. I mean, I do have a little bit of money to like survive off of. I do have I did get myself into at least a moderate situation, but it's just like it really kind of it's like looking back at this year and realizing all the hardships that I had to endure that I have to endure, not had because I'm still going through it, that I have to endure in order to like get to where I want to be at. It really just makes there's this push from the privileged community that they're just like, well, you don't wait for your opportunities, go out and go get them, go out and go get them, go out and go get them. And it's like, they never really talk about the fact that it's like, well, in order for like, the thing about this is that like they make it seem like failure is not an option. You know what I mean? Whereas failure is an option for some of us. To put this in perspective, if Elon Musk was just a regular dude, you know what I'm saying, who wasn't the richest guy in the world, he'd just be a failure. You know what I mean? Like he would just be a failure. Everything that he would be trying to do, he would be failing at. And, he wouldn't be seen as a visionary. He'd just be seen as a failure. But because of the fact that he was the richest guy in the world before he made his mistakes, and he's currently the richest guy in the world after he makes his mistakes, they're not seen as failures. They're just seen as, oh, just little bumps in the road, whatever. Whereas if I get into a car accident, if I somehow manage to like not pay two bills for the month, I might end up becoming homeless. I'm not gonna still have this apartment if I don't pay these bills. I'm not gonna still have my car if I don't pay those bills. I gotta keep everything on check. And it's really frustrating because of the fact that it's like, it's like I can't just go out and get after it. I've chased after my dream multiple times, and something has always gotten in the way. Something has always went wrong, and I always had to find myself going back to like going two steps backwards to try to get myself back on track so I can go out and try to pursue it again. And it's just very frustrating. It's like this looking back at this year, it was just not. Looking back at this year, like I said, I managed to. But one thing I will say though, looking back on this year, while I did undergo the frustration and the pain that I had went through, I did tell myself that I was going to get a place to live, and I was going to get a place to live that was going to be near where I wanted to be at. And now I have a place that I'm currently living at, and I still live down the street from training, which I haven't been able to go to because money's been tight. Like I don't like my problem is that like somebody would listen to one thing I kind of like about having a YouTube account is that like I can actually vocalize and say these things because it is I don't have nobody to say, hey, you need to stop whining and start appreciating the fact that you got stuff that you need, to which I say I would love to be able to do that, but I don't have a feeling of security. The feeling of security is what's keeping me like nervous. It's keeping me paranoid. Like nothing that I have is secure. All it takes is just one slip up and I am in a really, really, really bad spot. I have a girlfriend right now and I'm happy to have a girlfriend. I love her to death, but we don't see each other that often. And we argue enough times for me to think, oh wow, she's gonna dump me anytime now. Anytime now. You know what I mean? And it would be my fault. You know what I mean? And that's like I said, it's the feeling like I can't. It's hard for me to feel secure because it's like if I can see a possibility of something getting messed up just from the simplest mistake, then it's not something good. It's just a flicker in the dark cave. It's a flicker in the dark cave, and that just gets rid of the flicker. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem. You didn't light up the whole room. You just you're just a candle in a dark cave. It's like, yeah, I get to see a little bit, but all it takes is for me to do this, and the candle is not lit anymore. And that's the thing that's frustrating me is the lack of security. It's not I can't if I do this and this back being dark. I mean, this is just that. So I need something that's going to reinforce on top of reinforce on top of reinforce on top of reinforce the good things that are going to happen to me. Until then, I'm not going to just ignore. I'm not going to ignore bad things. I'm not going to ignore bad things that can happen to me because good things are happening to me right now. I have to be sure that those bad things won't happen no matter what I do. Elon Musk gets the chance to have that. Donald Trump gets to have that. Donald Trump committed crimes, and he committed crimes, and he's not in jail. All I have to do is just tick off a cop. It's just like But like I said though, like it's not all bad. This year wasn't all bad. I still managed, I managed to take the leap and do something that I wanted to do. I'm currently in a situation. I'm currently in that phase between wanting something and getting the thing that I want. And the gap is pretty wide right now. But the gap isn't but it's not like unreachable. Cause now I know that I have options. I know that I have options. I know that I'm secured over there. I can always tell them, hey, is it cool if I can come train? And they'll be like, sure, with money. But I can still talk to them. I can still stay in communication with them. I don't really think that that's going to be the case with this apartment. I don't really think that if I get kicked out of this apartment, I could just be like, hey guys, is it cool if I come back? And because they're just going to be like, well, didn't we kick you out? So there's that. So it is good to know that like my dream is still within reach, even though everything that kind of comes between me getting to it is just stressful, man. Like, and I'm gonna say this right now. It's gonna make me sound like a entitled little whatever. But I don't think life is supposed to be terrible. I understand that I don't think that I'm aware that in life we have challenges and we have things that like come our way, but I don't think that life is supposed to be terrible because of it. Living in a house is proof of that. Like if life is supposed to be terrible and you gotta take yourself up by your bootstraps, then why are we living in houses and not building houses? You know what I mean? Like once upon a time, it used to be easy to get shelter back in the day. All you had to do was just dig a hole in the ground, or go to a cave or something of that nature. It used to be that you had to kind of just sort of, when you lived off the land, you had to wait for like months for food to grow, and that's if the animals didn't steal your food. Like it was a lot. Like you had like life was tougher back then than it is today, and people are acting like they are willing to go back to living like that, and they're not. You know why? Because you don't see it. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like if you don't see people trying to go back to primal times to do certain things, then it's pretty much proof that life is not supposed to be miserable. Like people aren't supposed to suffer. You know what I mean? Like I say, we're going to approach challenges, but the whole idea is to overcome the challenges, not accept the challenges as this life. You know what I mean? There's it doesn't make any sense. We're not supposed to normalize bad things. We're supposed to approach the bad thing, find a way to challenge it, and then like overcome the bad thing. The moment that you make the bad thing into part of your community or part of who you are or anything else, you're just living with cancer at that point. And it's like nobody wants to live with cancer. So let's just find a cure for it. That's a bad analogy. But the fact of the matter is that like we shouldn't be okay with bad things. We shouldn't be suffering. Suffering is not essential. What is essential? Teamwork. Coming together as a society and actually building towards things and becoming better. We have managed to, in the hopes to try to pursue things to make life easier, we have come across some of the most essential things ever. The internet. The internet is something that everybody can use now. Most people can use now. I'm just saying, it's just like we should be helping each other and trying to do things to better our lives, not try to find ways to make suffering and pain normal. And that's about it. I don't want to stick around too long. Y'all be easy, love, peace, happiness, and also happy holidays, happy New Year, free Palestine, and just basic income should be a thing. People should not have to suffer. Suffering is not a necessity. Suffering is not something that people have to do. If people because if it was, then everybody would be suffering, not just a select few that you don't like. Evil people play favorites. Good people help everybody. Y'all be easy.